Hello and welcome to Fort Worth Weekly's World Cup update for the round of 16. I am Christian Lynn, and with me is GP Kennedy, as before. And we had some wild action in the round of 16, high drama, major casualties. One curse continuing for Mexico and another one ending for England. We'll get to all of it. So.
Okay.
Yes, France defeated Argentina 4-3. We
What a
had
game.
some pure craziness. Just it was kept that close because Angel Di Maria scored this amazing
Oh yeah,
goal.
that was something else.
But we saw Kylian Mbappe really come into his own.
19-year-old kid just like
Mhm.
runs like the wind. This is unbelievable.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah. He was the main the thing that blistered that Argentina defense. Um,
I think I could see the stress on Mascherano's face. Like every
mm,
every time
well,
Mbappe got the ball, he was like, "Oh god,
yeah.
not again."
Well,
So
yeah. Well, yeah. He even before this game, Mascherano was looking washed, and
yeah, he
which is a
called it.
shame. Which is a shame because he was one of the all-time great defensive midfielders.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's far from the first player to hang on for one World Cup too many. Can you blame anyone? Uh, it's,
good point.
yeah. All right. So, and then in the other game on Saturday, it was Uruguay over
Oh my
Portugal.
god,
Mm,
you know what? Those
we,
those those two Cavani goals were just like things of beauty. It was like
it was beautiful.
absolute poetry. Like the guy has this ability
Hmm.
to kind of like slow himself down. He's got like all kinds of time. Our first goal, the ball is like lashed in from the left onto the back post by Suarez. The
Suarez,
ball's
yes.
really traveling, and the guy somehow manages to kind of like contort his body in a way, and he almost kind of like he's moving past the ball, and he manages to kind of slow himself down, and he kind of
Mm.
twists, and he actually kind of hits him here,
Yeah.
but you
Hmm.
know any part of the body is apart from your hands is good to score a
Hmm.
goal, and
Hmm.
that's beautiful. And the second goal, if you want
Hmm.
to describe that, I thought was even better.
Right.
So
Yeah. It was a first time shot. The pass came from it slipped my memory.
Suarez again.
It was
Suarez got
Suarez.
both assists. Cavani got
Yes.
both goals. Yeah,
Yeah, the big man's been in the shadow of Suarez, and before that Diego
yeah.
Forlan, for his country. But he finally got a showcase against Portugal, and we also saw that the Uruguayans can defend like bastards when they are protecting a lead. So,
And bastards is quite an operative word in the way
mhm,
that they defend me because
mhm,
they don't care. Uruguay.
mhm,
Not saying they were
mhm,
dirty, but it's like they will put their bodies on the line,
mhm.
every time. So they do have a
Yes.
bit of a historic reputation for being quite filthy in terms of fouls. But I just think they're a team that's like hard but fair right now. So
Hmm. And they have probably the best center back duo in the
ooh,
entire tournament, Diego Godin and Jose Jimenez, and that is going to be quite an interesting matchup against the French now. Well, as we've seen, the combination of Suarez and Cavani gives Uruguay a puncher's chance against anybody.
mhm.
I do think in the end France has too much talent on the offensive side. I think they will eventually breach Uruguay if Didier Deschamps is willing to do it. He put his foot on the gas against Argentina because he saw they were so slow.
Mhm.
Uruguay's going to be a tougher nut to crack. But I'd go with France on this one.
So you think Deschamps going to go back to being guarded, kind of
Mm,
try and squeak a
I
1-0 type of thing?
I'm That's what I'm afraid of.
So the romantic in me wants to think that this is going to be attack v attack, and we could have another 4-3 type situation. I think Deschamps will probably be scared by the fact that they conceded 3 goals against a very very average Argentina side, and I don't think we'll see that kind of like cavalier France again. Like you say, great centre back pairing for Uruguay, great striker pairing, pretty solid in midfield. Um, I mean, this is going to be a high quality affair, but I think they might kind of cancel each other out. And
Hmm.
we're going to go 1-0 either way, full time. penalties, extra time penalties. I want Uruguay to win, so I'm gonna say Uruguay late.
Okay.
Can I be that
All
woolly about it?
All right.
Uruguay late.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Before we leave this quadrant of the bracket, there was a lot of noise made about the fact that Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo were both eliminated from the tournament on the same day. What do you think we'll see those guys again?
Well, they're 31 and 33.
Mm-hmm.
Messi might come back as that kind of like, team leader, leader on the field type of guy, kind of, team legend. But can he be there on merit when he's been so subpar as an international player versus a club player? Probably not. Ronaldo will be 37, I think, by next World Cup. If Ronaldo can be anything like Ronaldo for another 4 years, I'll be amazed because he's so physical. But so short answer, no.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because sports medicine has made such advances. We've seen it not just in soccer but in football and basketball as well. Players are lasting longer, and I think
boxing as well.
No,
seriously, one of my other favorite sports, boxing. It's like when you turn 30, 31, 32 was considered to be the twilight of your career. You see guys outside of the heavyweight division now going on into the mid-late 30s.
Wow.
And you got freaks like Bernard Hopkins, who was a world champion at 49. So, sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I was. Someone made a good point. I don't remember who, but someone said there will be a better chance for Ronaldo making it to 2022 because the Portuguese Soccer Federation is not run by crooks and lunatics. So.
And the inference being the Argentina Federation is? Okay.
Yes.
So they will kind of like sideline Messi?
Or he'll be so disgusted that he won't want to come back. But we'll see. He does have he has been his prime years as an international player have been largely wasted by subpar teammates and coaches. So yeah, we'll see how 2022 is a long way away. So we'll find out.
About 4 years.
Yeah, almost. Sunday's action started with the upset of the tournament: Russia defeating Spain on penalties.
Called it. Just saying. Just saying, I called it.
You did. You did.
Just saying.
Yeah. And wow, I am so disappointed in the Spaniards. They became parodies of themselves. Everybody just standing around the perimeter, passing the ball, and nobody actually. And everybody seemed to forget that the object of the game is to put the ball in the net. So
tick attack is nice if you actually then go towards goal rather than just like across the field, back and forth. Yeah, good point. Is the narrative now Spain was terrible because they sacked their coach 2 days before the tournament?
That is a very good point. Fernando Hierro was a great defensive player in his time. He took over the coaching job on short notice, and he seemed to have no ideas when Spain's attack stalled out like that.
To be fair, I mean, Jesus could have taken over the team with 2 days before the tournament, and I don't think that would have been enough time. So I get what you're saying, but I also think it's like it kind of like takes the burden off of the guys that are actually on the field that have all trained together. And I assume, it looked to me like Hierro didn't try to like completely change the system or anything. He basically said, guys, you have this system, go ahead. Okay, during the tournament, he's embedded with the squad. He didn't improve him, but geez, he had 2 days. And then you're in the tournament, and then that's a whole other thing. So,
and I can't help but wonder they let the Spain squad, the previous coach Julen Lopetegui, left off Alvaro Morata off the squad, and he's more of a pure goal scorer. He would have given Spain a different dimension. He was struggling to find the net in the last. The second half of the season in England, but now is when you wonder, whether he would have made the difference.
I think it's a good point. I think that Spain's changes during the game lacked any kind of like out and out goal threat. It's like there wasn't like what in England is called a fox in the box. There wasn't that guy who's kind of like going to be around the the penalty spot, around the 6 yard line, ghosting in on the back post. Having those kind of finishers instincts. They didn't have that kind of guy. Morata, you rightly say, might have been that guy, but hindsight is 2020, I guess, for Spain.
And you saw some warning signs with the Russians, didn't you?
I honestly don't even know if Russia can get 11 men to take the field at the weekend that like can actually run around without just like collapsing after 5 minutes. They were spent after 70 minutes. They somehow toughed it out for another 30 minutes of extra time. They managed to stand up and take penalty kicks. It's like their fullbacks were just cramping like every 2 minutes. Guys just like collapsing, like those multiple snipers in the stands. They were
always a possibility in Russia.
Well, controversial, but I mean, I guess you say that was a tremendous triumph of kind of like will for Russia to just actually kind of like keep 11 guys on the field, kind of move around. They went super negative in extra time, but I don't fault them for that because they just couldn't really move forward. They were exhausted. So what they do for recovery? A lot of ice baths, a lot of massages. You don't allow painkilling injections, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get steroid injections if guys have got kind of sore knees and stuff, but. Yeah, let's see. But I would imagine the team that's going to be facing Croatia in the quarterfinals is probably going to start with a high tempo and see what happens. So I guess we should reveal who that team is.
Yes, they will be facing Croatia, which also needed a penalty shootout to defeat Denmark after 2 farcical goals early in the game.
It's like the first 4 minutes was just absolute like Keystone Cops, wasn't it? It was ridiculous.
Yes, and Luka Modric had an opportunity to win it in regulation, and saw his shot stopped. It wound up being a compelling goalkeeper duel.
I am so pissed off. Can I just say about this new rule that if you try to get the ball when you bring the guy down when he's clean through on goal, it's only a yellow card. You deny a goal scoring opportunity. That guy was about to win the game and send Croatia into the quarterfinals of the World Cup. He rounded the goalkeeper. There's an empty net. He's about to take the shot, and the Denmark defender brings him down. How is that not a red card? The ruling by the ref was that he made a real effort to get the ball. Here's the news: he failed, and in failing, he denies the goal scoring opportunity. He has to leave the field. Okay, Modric took an average penalty. Kasper Schmeichel made a good guess and made the save. And I guess justice, if you believe in justice, was done. And after extra time and penalties, Croatia got the better of it. But I just think that's ridiculous. It's like counter to like the notion of sport. It's like, I tried to get the ball, and that's so subjective. It's like what's objective is denying a goal scoring opportunity. The guy's clean through, he's about to strike, the guy pulls him down, denies a goal scoring opportunity. Up until this World Cup, go and take an early shower.
Yeah. Well,
any thoughts?
I do agree with you on the rule. I think it should be a red card. I don't think it made that much difference regarding this game because there was so little time left. And Matthias Jurgensen did not factor into the shootout. So
but it's just it establishes the principle for other defenders that if they need to, they can bring that guy down, go near the ball in doing so, and they'll probably get a yellow card. So if that's in the 5th minute of the game, makes a huge difference to the rest of the
absolutely.
game.
Yes. Well, there was a heartwarming subplot in the game as we saw the TV showed Kasper Schmeichel's father, Peter Schmeichel, in the stands. He was one of the all-time greats in this sport, and
even as a Liverpool fan, and that guy played most of his significant part of his career for Manchester United. Best goalie ever. Reinvented goalkeeping. Brought a completely different style of goalkeeping, and just an absolute legend.
Yeah, and he got to see his son do so well on the world stage, and now Croatia, they know they have a goalkeeper who can
Yeah.
lift them up when they're not playing so well. So in Daniel Subasic, that's how his name is pronounced.
Hmm.
For this Croatia Russia game,
You got to go with Croatia, surely. I mean, like I say,
Mm.
I don't know if Russia can even play
Mhm.
another 90 minutes unless there's some kind of like Lazarus style
hmm
comeback from the dead kind
hmm
of thing. But no, Croatia.
yeah.
I think Russia will be lifted by the crowd to an extent, like I think they were against Spain. I think Croatia. Let's go 2-1.
The Croats are not going to stand for this nonsense that the Spaniards indulged in. They're gonna have players making runs in behind the defense. They're gonna be incisive, and I think they have experience in that from that Denmark game playing against a team that's defending on a low block, so they'll have time to prepare for a Russia team that plays the same way. So Monday's action, I was only able to catch the first half of the two games on Monday because of my other duties at the weekly, and I missed some crackling action. The first game was Brazil defeating Mexico. Mexico has now lost the last 7 round of 16 matches at the World Cup. It is getting ridiculous.
They were playing one of the favourites to lift the trophy.
Yes.
This time around, to be fair, I'd need to go back and check the other 6
Mm-hmm.
elimination games, the games in which they were eliminated. But if you only did you catch the first or the second half of this?
The first.
So I think the die was cast after about 20 minutes. Mexico came out with some kind of intent. Brazil, they kind of got behind Brazil a little bit. Brazil made adjustments. Thiago Silva runs that back four like an absolute dream. That guy's one of the all-time great centre backs for me. They made adjustments, and Mexico. That was the go basically. That was the one look, and they weren't able to really change it up. They did make subs. Couldn't quite understand bringing off Chicharito, unless I haven't heard that he was injured. But 20 minutes to go, leader on the field, one of your all-time leading goal scorers. They brought another striker on. I can't remember the guy's name, but he did nothing, and I didn't quite get that. But honestly, Brazil took a look at Mexico 20 minutes in, adjusted. I thought they controlled the game after that. Still think if Bobby Firmino plays, and I'm not saying this because he's a Liverpool player instead of Gabriel Jesus. I haven't seen Jesus do anything that impresses me in this World Cup. Firmino comes on, scores after 2 minutes. That kind of fox in the box I was talking about earlier. He has that instinct to kind of, make the time the run. So he gets in front of the defender, kind of on the back post, slides it into an empty net. Jesus doesn't seem to have those instincts. I actually would rather see Firmino play in the Neymar role, to be honest. But that's never going to happen.
Right.
But I've read a bunch of stuff that says Neymar's catching heat in Brazil for being, too selfish and for his ridiculous. How can I put this? Ridiculously low pain threshold.
Not unusual in soccer, especially among attacking players.
This guy takes it to a whole new level. I mean, this guy's covered in tattoos. I've got tattoos. There's like an element of discomfort with tattoos that's like sustained over a period of time. This guy can't get touched on the ankle without crying out in anguish, rolling around 75 times, and then laying on the floor for about 5 minutes every single time. The guy, it's just ugly, and it makes soccer look ridiculous. And that kind of, field fairies notion that some Americans have about soccer players is only kind of confirmed by one of the most famous players in the world acting like an absolute massive baby. I'll leave it there.
All right. Well, all right.
I've made my points.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
I'm not a Neymar fan. Let's just leave it there.
Okay. And in the other game,
oh Lord.
Belgium went down by 2 goals to Japan.
The lowest ranked team in the tournament by a mile.
and
Yeah.
then and they came roaring back and found the third goal in stoppage time to win.
What a goal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And well, technically we were both correct with our predictions, but the Japanese still made us look pretty silly.
I think they
by-
made Belgium look pretty silly for about
Mhm.
70 minutes. Two
Mhm.
things about that. So I think Belgium went out with an attitude of we can just basically win this game up whenever we feel like it, and they were
Mhm.
just super arrogant, and then they got burned.
Mm.
They kind of went out with the kind of attitude that I described in my prediction, where I
Mhm.
said they could win 3 or 4-0 without getting out of second gear, and they
Mm.
looked like that was their attitude. In
Mm.
fairness, so that's partly on the players. It's also partly on the coach, the way the coach sends them out. But then
Mm. Mhm.
the adjustment that Coach Martinez made after about 65 minutes made
Mhm.
a double switch,
Mm.
and Chadley and Fellaini came on at the same time.
Mm.
Absolutely changed the game. They went a bit more direct, used their physicality against Japan
Mhm.
and their height.
Mm.
First goal, either the best headed goal in the history of soccer
Mm.
or a massive fluke.
Yeah,
It
Either.
looked like a fluke, but anyway.
By
But
Vertonghen, yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but no problem with the second and third goals, and the third goal. If you've not seen it, can I?
Yep.
So Thibaut Courtois, the Belgium goalie, collects the ball from a corner. There's like 20 seconds in extra time, in injury time to go, in extra time. Was it extra time?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, just suddenly didn't sound right. In injury time and extra time. So what a goalie normally does there, hugs the ball, waits for penalties. This guy looked upfield and he saw a triangle of players, one in front, two wide, rolled it right into the run of,
Mhm.
was it De Bruyne?
Mm.
And just advances right through the middle of the field. They play it perfectly. Plays a beautifully weighted pass right.
Mm-hmm.
A one-timer right across the field. And Chadley, it sprinted about 95 yards at this point at
Mhm.
breakneck speed, had the composure to just time the slide into the open net perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd goes wild. I leapt off the sofa. I might have taken out a couple of light fittings. I'm not sure.
Mm.
It's just that's what tournament soccer's about. Just
Mm.
people just doing exceptional things in
Exactly.
the moments. It's fantastic.
So we've got Brazil versus Belgium. How do we see that unfolding?
You go first, please.
For me, I'm looking at the left side for Belgium, which is the right side for Brazil. First of all, Belgium has Yannick Ferreira Carrasco starting on that side. He is not a defensive player,
Mhm.
and he's supposed to cover that entire side by himself, and that should be a bigger problem. But the thing about Brazil is that all their best attackers are on the left side, on the complete opposite side. So I wonder if Brazil's coach Chiche makes an adjustment and puts one of Neymar or Philippe Coutinho over on that side to try to bother Carrasco.
I mean, Coutinho can play on the right. I've seen him do that for Liverpool. He's more of a false nine, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really play that for Brazil. So it could do that. Neymar would probably just tell Tite where he wants to play, wouldn't he? So,
Yeah.
but it depends where the softest turf is for him to dive and roll around on. He'll play on that side.
Yeah, and the other issue is Brazil's right back Wagner, who has done okay.
Really?
Well, he's their third choice. Because Danilo and Daniel Alves have both been hurt, and he has not been tested against anybody like Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
So who plays on the left for Belgium? So that makes this a very difficult game to call.
If I was Martinez, I'd go with the 11 that finished the game.
Mm.
Play that bit more direct, and instead of playing De Bruyne in that flat midfield where he has to be a central midfielder that works up and back, just kind of stifles his greatest gift, which is to control the tempo of the play going forward. I think if he plays that same formation, De Bruyne has a bit more license to kind of just move forward and kind of be the kind of attacking midfielder rather than playing in that as a flat central midfielder. He has to get up and back. So if he goes with that, I like Belgium for this.
Yeah.
Brazil does seem to be getting better as the tournament goes on. So.
Yeah, they do, but
stick with Belgium.
Yeah, let's. Since I can't decide on tactical grounds, I'm just going to root for Belgium making it to the semis. And when you are a small country like Belgium and you're not supposed to get to the World Cup semis, and you do make it to the World Cup semis, you become legendary. So
can I just say, I know you like a bit of politics in your soccer, or a bit of soccer in your politics, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Belgium's had some pretty rough few years with Islamic terrorism, Islamic extremism, and some kind of like anti-Muslim hate in, like you're saying, what is a very small country, and the fact that Chadli gets that goal and in an absolute kind of like hold the back page moment. Hopefully that does something good for Belgium and for Belgians, and people can kind of hug each other because the soccer game went well, and Nacer Chadli scores the goal.
Chadli and Fellaini are both of Arab descent, and I always wondered this about Fellaini. He wears his hair in that gigantic afro. When a Jewish person wears an afro, it's called a Jewfro, and I always wondered, what do they call it when an Arab guy wears an afro? So
I'll come back to you on that.
Okay. So today, Tuesday, July 3rd, we saw the Sweden defeat Switzerland 1-0.
Sorry, I dropped off. My bad.
It was the sort of game that made you say, there's 2 hours of my life that I'm never getting back.
I was like praying it wouldn't go to extra time. I was like, please just somebody win.
And it did not. The winner came from Emil Forsberg deflecting in off a defender, and that's probably the game winner that game deserved.
That's literally the only way anyone was going to score a goal, was just some like massive fluke deflection or like a huge goalkeeping mistake. Oh my god, it was so bad.
Yeah, and disappointing showings from the Swiss attack. I figured that would be the difference, and it was not.
Do you think Switzerland choked?
I think they're
from the outset.
No, I think they were just themselves.
Okay.
They're boring selves, and they always seem to be involved in the least interesting World Cup games.
Just like the just absolute lack of any quality in anything that Switzerland did. They couldn't string 3 passes together. Every pass was too short or too long. Their first touches were terrible. That's why I ask about them choking, because it just seems from moment one they just seem tight.
Yeah.
Even Shaqiri. I mean, it's hard to tell when Shaqiri's uptight because he looks like he's got Napoleon syndrome every second of his life. But he looked especially uptight today. So, but yeah, I just thought they seemed tight. But props to Sweden. I mean, since they got their hearts broken against Germany with that last second goal to lose the game, they scored 4 goals and conceded 0 in 2 games, and they're in the quarterfinals. They went into the Mexico game at half time, and in the third group stage, they weren't even qualifying at that stage. And they scored 3 goals against Mexico, win today in an absolute dross game of soccer, and they're in the quarterfinals. And they don't have stiff opposition in the quarterfinals either.
Well, their quarterfinal opponent is England, who lost their last 3 penalty shootouts in the World Cup, but finally defeated Colombia in a penalty shootout.
You know what the most amazing part of that is?
What?
After extra time, when they were like in the huddle and they were, the coach was doing the team talk about penalties. the England coach, Gareth Southgate, the only thing that people know him for is blazing a penalty kick in a World Cup shootout miles over the bar. I think that ball is actually still in space. It's like still orbiting Earth. It was one of the worst like under pressure penalties you've ever seen. So I just kind of did do a bit of a PMSL when I saw him giving the team talk pre penalties, but it worked. Did England win the penalty shootout, or did Colombia lose it?
They had. Let's see. It was Uribe whose shot was stopped by Jordan Pickford.
But prior to that, I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
Colombia were 3-2 up on penalties, and after 3 each, they had an opportunity. They were going first. They had an opportunity to go 4-2, which would have meant the England guy had to score. Or they went out. Massive pressure, and the guy absolutely lashes his PK, which I don't have a problem with. And it hits the underside of the bar, crossbar, and comes out. Like almost right in the upper 90. It was like 2 inches away from being one of the best penalties you've ever seen. But and the England goalie Pickford had dived the wrong way. So you know, you in those moments you have to kind of like you pick your spot. You have to kind of like pick a spot, believe in it, and go ahead and try and hit that spot. And he, you know, he clearly made up his mind that he was going to lash the ball, you know, hard and high. But I just felt more of a moment to kind of like wait for the goalie and to pass it into the open side of the net. But it's easy to think that when you're sitting at home on the sofa.
Of course, and we should probably give some props to the penalty takers for England. I mean, Harry Kane has been clutch through this tournament, and Marcus Rashford, who is he still a teenager?
He looks about 14, so I'm going to say he's still a teenager. Yeah, he's like a massively overgrown 14-year-old.
Yeah, but he showed no sign of nerves.
That was an excellent penalty.
Yeah.
My limited Spanish watching on Telemundo helped me to understand that the Telemundo guys calling the game thought the England penalties were hit with great force and great accuracy and took some nerves. So
and especially Eric Dyer's final one to win the match. So
you know, I think in that situation, it's like 99 times out of 100 the guy scores. I thought that the clutch one, and I can't stand this guy as a player. It just, as we would say in England, he gets on my tits, which means he's very annoying, is Trippier. Such a, again, in England we call him a gobshite, which just means he's one of those like really annoying, kind of unnecessarily aggressive, kind of just like players that like deliberately gets under people's skin. But his penalty was absolutely superb. It's like curling away into the top corner with pace. It's just it's unsavable.
Yeah. And we did see the nerves get to some of the shooters in the Croatia-Denmark shootout. So
you know, it's a really tough situation. It's like I've like playing soccer. I've been in like multiple penalty shootouts. Like in finals and it's semi-finals, and it's really difficult to say, I'll take one. So, you know, anyone that actually just even takes a pen, it's like props to them for doing that. I would like to say that, again, not because he's a Liverpool player, Jordan Henderson's penalty wasn't missed, it was saved. That penalty was going in the bottom corner. Ospina guesses the right way and makes an absolutely perfect save on that. So I wouldn't even look at Henderson and criticise Henderson for his penalty. So,
all right.
So yeah, England took 5 good penalties and scored 4. So wow.
All right.
I do need to say though, can I possibly be critical of England?
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought after they scored the goal, I didn't think it was a penalty. By the way, it's like if there's been like twice as many penalties this stage of the World Cup as there's been in any other World Cup. And a large part of that is because we're now giving penalties for jostling in the box on corners and free kicks. So if we're going to do that, then soccer's going to end up being like 12-11 every match. If you're going to do that honestly, So if you're gonna give one, you can't be selective. It happens someone is fouled every single time there's a dead ball situation in the box.
But an NFL tackle though, that's kind of difficult to ignore, and that's what's happened to Harry Kane.
Here's where I'm going with this: is I think Kane is now playing for it. So what he does, I won't get off my stool and demo, but basically he kind of drives super low. Like almost like with his head at waist height, and he's driving low towards the ball. That's not a soccer move, unless England have some training ground move where he's going to do a diving header and take the ball almost off the turf at the back post. He's not playing. He's not making a soccer move. He's making a move that makes it impossible to block him out in a fair way. So the guys are kind of like wrapping their arms around him. They shouldn't do that. And Kane isn't the only one that's doing this. I think players are now playing for the ref to call the PK in those dead ball situations, which I think is a negative development. One other thing, if I may, this bullshit the players have started doing, and they're now basically like lobbying the refs to go to the VAR. So I'm a fan of VAR, but if the only way to stamp out this whole, and the coaches are doing it from the sidelines, is do what they do in other sports and give the coaches one appeal per half.
That's an interesting
what do you think?
Solution. No,
what do you think of the whole players doing this?
We've had gamesmanship before, when players would wave imaginary cards.
Like
It's I think it's a nice piece of theater. I think there's some merits to, but I think there's also some merits to limiting the number of challenges that a team can make. So,
so do you think like one challenge per half per team, and it can only be made by the coach or the captain?
That sounds workable. So, what do we think of the England-Sweden match?
I was just thinking England have form with Sweden, which isn't very good, but I'm not necessarily a massive believer in a team lost in 1994 and 2000, because this is 11 or 22 fresh guys with fresh coaches. I don't know. You go first while I try to be objective about it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way Sweden is playing right now. They're very slow and ponderous. They have two basically lampposts up front, and Ola Toivonen and Marcus Berg.
They are big units, aren't they, those guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think England's just too mobile for them. I think England will take this.
Where was England's mobility today, though? So
fair question.
So to be fair, there was a lot of mobility in front of the Colombia back four. They got behind twice and did nothing with the ball out wide. The thing for me for England is they were so negative once they scored today. And Colombia were dreadful, by the way. So what England achieved today was, imagine if England had lost without Harry Kane playing, and people would have gone big whoop. They didn't have Harry Kane. James Rodriguez wasn't playing. He wasn't fit to be on the bench. Right. His whole squad knew that before the game. And honestly, it's like Cuadrado tried to lead the team on the field. He's not James Rodriguez. And I thought Colombia had nothing until England scored, and then England retreated and invited pressure. Colombia got better. The more of the ball England allowed them to have, they got better. Go figure. Soccer players get more comfortable when they're allowed to have possession.
Yeah.
And England failed to safeguard that lead, and Colombia got the tying goal super late in the game. I don't know and then England first half of extra time, England looked like they froze. Again, they were allowing Colombia the ball, and then ironically, second half of extra time, I thought Colombia froze. And it was all England. So where am I going with this? England is better from 1 to 11. I think England is better in every single position than the Swedish team. But Sweden shouldn't have got this far. They look difficult to score against. England should win. It'd probably be like a 1-0
Yeah.
but like a comfortable 1-0, if you know what I mean. Sweden doesn't
Yeah.
offer much threat.
Mm-hmm.
England has a lot of the ball,
Yeah.
but they only score 1 goal.
Right.
And honestly, it's like I'm not advocating violence against Harry Kane, but like I wouldn't. If I was like a Sweden fan, I wouldn't be sad if somebody took Harry Kane out of the game quite early on.
Granqvist.
Yeah. But, so think of not that I'm still bitter about this, but think of the Champions League final in third week in May.
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid, I mean, tell me if this is right or whether I'm just like completely off the mark as a blinker Liverpool fan. To me, Real Madrid went onto the field with the kind of intention of fouling Mo Salah out of the game. And they kicked the crap out of him for the first 30 minutes until, what's his face?
Sergio Ramos.
Until Ramos, did an armbar and threw Salah to the ground. So you don't have to go in and break someone's leg or anything. There's ways. And Salah was not a factor in those 30 minutes because he was getting kicked so much. I just think let's dial it back a bit and say if Sweden gets stuck into Harry Kane early, I fail to see what else England have. And you know what? I like England's options off the bench. Vardy is super pacey, but England don't play the way that Leicester plays to get Vardy in behind. And I think Rashford is a massive talent. But he needs a bit of love. He needs some game time. So.
Well, it will be interesting to see if Gareth Southgate makes any changes to take advantage of Sweden's lack of speed and start his speed options up front. So
Rashford up front, Loftus-Cheek in midfield.
I would go with that.
Well, can I just finish with a question as well?
Yep.
What's wrong with Raheem Sterling for England? The guy that lit up the Premier League last season.
Yeah, he seems out of sorts. I don't know. Maybe this is post-traumatic stuff from the because he's been treated abominably as an England player by the British press.
You're right.
And he does seem a bit gun shy, and you can still see that he's a tremendous talent. He can do things, but it hasn't happened for him yet. So if he starts against Sweden, maybe this will be the opening he needs to gain some confidence because he looks short.
The politics in soccer again? Am I overreading that England's hero is a blonde white guy and the villain is a
black guy? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I'm overthinking that, but
I don't think you're overthinking it.
No, I don't either.
Right.
So we're going. Did you go for England as well?
Yeah. Yes.
So we're both going.
And that does it for our World Cup update. We're going to get the July 4th holiday off, and then the games start back up on Friday with France and Uruguay, and then Croatia, Russia. Nope. Yeah.
9 a.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, the other two games. So we'll have another update for you after that. So until then, we're wishing you a happy Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.